From Del Rio, Texas, home of Lake Amistad, your host, Rob Wade. This guy who dives. This episode of This Guy Who Dives recorded live Sunday, 30 April 2017, episode 171, Castle Canyon. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of This Guy Who Dives, and I am your host, Rob Wade, and we survived our event this weekend, yesterday, which I'll be talking a little bit in a moment about. The topic for today, and I'm noticing a video glitch happening. I want to see if that's actually happening on what you see, because what I'm seeing is an issue with the camera. But, yep, there it is. So, all right, so evidently I'm having some issues with one of my cameras, so I probably won't be spending a lot of time on it. Anyway, yeah, technical issues. When you do this on a shoestring, you don't have thousands upon thousands of dollars to put together the equipment you need for a top-notch video podcast. You do what you can. I mean, I've got some decent equipment. This is probably just a glitch from the latest NVIDIA drivers that got loaded up, and that, you know, I know there are people out there, and this is getting a little geeky, techie for folks. I know there are some who absolutely abhor automatic updating of drivers, especially video drivers. This is the kind of reason, is when the driver seems to be causing issues with video. But, so we'll see. Maybe it'll iron itself out, or maybe not. But I tend to like the bleeding edge drivers, because usually they fix issues with games that I'm playing, etc., which I don't play a lot. Really, the only ones I do right now are Titanfall 2, although I'm really not pleased with it. And the one I really spent a lot of time on, as relatively speaking, I don't spend a lot of time in video gaming, but the one that is my heavy hitter at this point is Elite Dangerous, because it's a big space. It literally is. You're flying around the galaxy. You're going to inhabited planets. There's a lot of different role playing. You can be a pirate. You can be a trader. You can be a bounty hunter. You can be a mixture of all those. You can be explorer. I'm an explorer. What I like about that is I can basically fly out into deep space and get away from not only real players, but get away from what they call NPCs, or non-player commanders, basically computer-generated entities, participants. Because usually they just want to destroy your ship for some reason. I don't understand the point. It's supposed to be a quasi-realistic, futuristic approach to what interstellar travel and commerce would be like. And so, just like in the real world, you have people who are cartel members, and they will kill you for everything you have and all that stuff. You're going to have that kind of thing in space as well. So the design behind this goes. But the cool thing is, they literally are involving a real understanding of our galaxy as far as stars, things like that. In fact, the game actually, this is kind of interesting, the game actually predicted a planet, or a star system, different name, but a star system in approximately the same location and with the same kind of planets as was recently discovered by our various scientists. Let's see if I can. Dogs all wanting to share. You see back here, they're sharing, and then I have a co-host over here, Ronan. Science actually found a planet, or a star system that supposedly has 7 Earth-like or Earth-sized planets. And it's strikingly similar to one in almost the exact same location in the game that that the computer system algorithms that generate all this stuff has created. And so they've actually are going in and renaming the star and the planets to match what scientists did. But it's so interesting, the game is actually predicting some of this stuff. And so but it's cool because you can jump to different stars, and I'm actually traveling from the core, or from the inhabited worlds where Earth is, etc., to a big colony star system closer to the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And it's kind of cool because I'm out away from everybody else, so I don't really get bothered. So it's a lot of grinding, a lot of hopping from star system to star system. And you scoop fuel by going close to stars, and you can land on planets, certain types of planets, and you can land on certain types of moons, and you can gather materials for repairing your ship or refueling or rearming, and or if you're into cargo and stuff like that, mining, you can mine stuff. But and the vistas, the visuals are spectacular, and you can look it up on YouTube, and there's lots of YouTube videos that people have posted on there. But so that's one I really use, and so I always want the best video rendering that I can get, and I have a NVIDIA 1070 GTX 1070 card, which is not their top of the line, but it's like the third tier down, something like that. And I really love the card, but clearly this latest driver that pushed out is causing me some issues, so a little frustrating. So anyway, let's hit our first segment. Normally that's movie reviews, but as I mentioned last week, don't really have any movie reviews yet because this is just a sparse year for movies for me. Whoa, what was that? Sparse year for movies for our household. We're just not interested in as many, but we have coming up some of the most anticipated ones of the year. Namely, next weekend we have getting a buzz from something. I don't know what it is. Namely, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and that just looks like immense fun. That's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then right after that, Alien Covenant. I remember seeing the very first Alien movie when I was a kid. I think it came out in 78 or 79. I remember getting the... I need to lower the camera. I remember getting the various movie, science fiction and horror. Coming back up here now. Here we go. Lay down. All right, guys. Make up your mind who's going to be sitting closest to Daddy. I remember getting the magazines where you'd see all the stories on upcoming movies and things like that, and I really loved seeing the tech behind. We didn't have CGI back really in the 70s. So, or even really not much in the early 80s. So it was neat to see all the makeup effects, things like that they would be working on for, for instance, the Alien movie. And that just was a spectacularly scary and cool, very a gritty sci-fi. It kind of really set the pace for that style. Very high production values, honestly scary, and but told a great story, etc. And it spawned a number of sequels, and then a couple of years ago they had Prometheus, which was kind of a early prequel to Alien, but a lot of people were disappointed that it didn't really carry the baton back up to Alien as we were expecting. Telling the backstory about the alien itself. So enter Alien Covenant, which really does... Ridley Scott is back at the helm, and it really does play homage to the first Alien movie because it is a truer to the storyline prequel, and it's going to carry us a little closer. And supposedly there's going to be one more film that will literally be the bridge between Alien Covenant and the first Alien movie, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So the trailers I've seen, pictures, stills I've seen, got me excited for that as a prequel movie. We'll see how it goes, though. Have some sad news to share with the folks out there. Scuba Bob, also known as Robert Garza, who actually helped. We started this podcast together when it was first called Two Guys Who Dive. And he's been my longtime dive buddy. Hasn't been diving so much the last couple of years because he's been had a number of other things going on. And not the least of which, his mother had been dealing with, long time illness. And unfortunately, I'm sad to say that she passed away yesterday. So he's obviously mourning her loss. And so our prayers go out to him and Sandy, his wife, the kids, and of course his dad and the rest of the family and friends. It's tough to lose someone. It's tough to lose certainly parents. And so, Scuba Bob, we wish you God's peace. And I know, as the scripture says, though sorrow lasts through the night, there will be joy in the morning. So take your time. There's a process that we go through. But I know where your heart's at, dude. And I know that for those of us who are believers, this isn't bye-bye, but it's just see you later. So, and I know you can take heart with that. So, tech news. Microsoft kicked off their first Windows Insiders video netcast, which was kind of cool. It was on Beam, which they purchased. It's like Twitch TV and XSplit or Ustream and some of these other sites where you can live stream videos. And so they purchased Beam and they got their video podcast going up with that. And so it was live and interactive, which was cool. Of course, it was their first one with a new machine they built specifically for that purpose. Oh, great. I'm thinking this video driver is hosed. And they had some technical issues and had to restart the stream. Similar to what I've had to deal with before. But one among the things, they talked a lot of geeky stuff. They answered a few questions, not enough, about things that were important to us in the Insider, who are Windows Insiders. But one thing they did was they displayed their big red button, which is the device they use to trigger to kick off a release. So when they're doing an Insider release and they feel that it's ready to go for everybody outside, the people in the fast ring typically, for Insiders, and anybody in the fast ring outside of Microsoft, they push this red button. So they have this little switch on there that arms it so somebody can't accidentally hit the button. And they said, well, let's try it and see what happens. So they hit the button, and sure enough, out came a release. So they've released for the Windows 10 PCs, tablets, laptops, non-mobile devices, build 16184 and then 15208 for mobile. No new features for mobile. What they did bring on board with this release for the PCs, though, was the My People feature, which really, most of the stuff they've been adding, I don't really care about because I don't use the notification center in Windows 10. I don't use a lot of this, what I call fluffy stuff in Windows 10. I much prefer Windows 8. But this My People feature adds a optional, you can turn it off, but it's on by default when you install the update. Okay, but the it's a little icon, looks like two people. It's their wireframe icons, and you click on it and you can set it up to where it interfaces with, right now, a very limited bit of your social networking. And you can basically put, it's like a favorites for your contacts, really. And so it's a way for you to quickly interface with people that are more important to you. I don't have anybody like that. People who I interface with are important to me at the moment I need to interface with them. I don't have, I guess maybe this is a millennial thing, or probably even younger. I don't have people that, oh, I just got a text Joey. I don't have any of that stuff going on. There are people, I am in so many different circles that there are people that I will interface with a lot for a time and then not at all for a time. A good example, the Christian band I'm in, Living Water Sound, when we're gearing up for some event, there will be more traffic that happens between the leader of the group and I, or all of us. And so at those points, I will see a lot of traffic. And so there'll be, hey, when are we rehearsing? Or when are we meeting to travel out there? Do we need to load things up? You're bringing the trailer, blah, blah, blah. So, and then outside of that, then there's really not much conversation we have intentionally. And then if I'm working on a show, there may be people in the cast or the board of directors for the Upstagers that I may be interfacing with frequently. In fact, as we get ready for our summer musical, which I'm directing, I will probably have that going on as we get to working on that. About the only person that I can consistently say I communicate with on a regular basis is, of course, my wife. And I don't need to put her in a... we're together almost all the time. So I don't need to put her in a My People app. Matter of fact, she's much less tied to her computer than I am. So it would make no sense for me to add her to it, because I'll just walk to the other part of the house where she's at or talk to her. And we tend to go everywhere together. There are very few places that we don't go together, which is probably very strange, compared to couples today. But, that's unfortunate, I guess. So I don't know. You may find that feature. I went and immediately turned it off because I don't want another thing clouding it. I don't pin anything to my taskbar. I don't have anything pinned to my desktop. I like the live tiles. I use the live tiles. So if I can't put it on a live tile, I don't want it anywhere. I'll open it through the all apps or type in the Cortana search to find it. I don't need a bunch of things cluttering up my view. I like a clean desktop. I'm not OCD, but I'm a Lean Six Sigma guy, so I like organization. So you may find that feature handy. Now, unfortunately, while there were no new features added to the phone world, there was a glitch added. So it broke Cortana's ability to initiate a text. Now, I use hands-free texting all the time. The fact that I can say, hey, Cortana, I don't want to say it too loud, too quickly, because she will respond on all devices. I'm able to say, text my wife, and because it knows in its notebook, it knows my wife is Tara, then it will initiate a text and say, okay, what do you want to say? Well, with this build 15208, it broke that. Now, I'm able to respond to texts I get. So if somebody sends me a text, Cortana comes up and says, hey, you got a text from blah, blah, blah. Do you want to ignore it or reply? And then that interaction works fine. And more importantly, it works fine over Bluetooth, because I have it synced to my car, and it's important that I be able to see or hear Cortana and converse through Cortana without taking my eyes off the road and my hands off the wheel. But now I can't just initiate, hey, I need to text my wife to let her know I'm stopping by the store on the way. If you need anything, put it in our OneNote shopping list. I can't do that. I have to actually open the phone and initiate it that way, which is sad. So I've already posted feedback that needs to be fixed. Other techs, not really computer, but this is kind of cool. I like Iron Man, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there like Iron Man. There's a guy in the UK named Richard Browning. He is developing a kind of an Iron Man suit. Now, when I first saw this headline in neowin.net, of course, clickbait is what it is. They put a headline that gets you thinking something and then you find in the article it's not really what they said. The Iron Man suit involves much more than what you're about to see in this video, but I wanted to show you to you because I think it's cool to see. So I'm going to switch to the screen capture here. Where are you? Screen region. There we go. Now, hopefully this isn't going to freak out. All right, and hopefully Facebook isn't going to kill me for this, but we'll see.
Browning, I'm the pioneer of the Daedalus project. As it starts to kick in, you can start to feel your body getting lighter and lighter, and it still gives me goosebumps as to how exciting that moment was. A huge part of this has been about being able to rapidly prototype things, go through the RS catalogue, find some of the components really very, very quickly and get them on the workbench and employed now in the field within a matter of days. That's been critical to this journey. Humanity has always been about taking that hard path. Every major leap that we've taken, every major discovery, invention, there's something really, really powerful and very relevant to today to going down that journey and trying to achieve something that's really spectacular.
Look at that. Now the difference there, he's got the arm ones, but he's doing the a belt pack kind of situation. Now, obviously, this is not quite like the repulsor technology that you see Tony Stark using in Iron Man. It's repulsor technology in both the palms and in the heel of the boots. This is literally mini jet engines, 2 on each arm, and so that's where he's got the controls. They're kerosene driven. Hold on, I'm trying to get something fixed here, but I want to show you his, I guess, the making of kind of thing. I'm hoping this is going to work. I'll show you the other video here if I can scroll this up. Here we go. So there's some of the prototype tests. I mean, this is like a little bit of Tony Stark stuff here. This is pretty cool. And so you'll actually see a version where he has the boot type set up, and it's much more difficult to fly than you might think. So what Tony Stark was going through in testing his prototypes was pretty realistic. Look at that. So he's on a wire so he can get control. But you see how difficult it is. He's not holding it. So you see the amount of control it takes. He had to work on his core in order to have the kind of control. You got jet engines pushing your legs up out from underneath you. So you see how, I mean, this is just amazing stuff that he's got going. I saw that and I thought, okay, now this is cool. Now, obviously, there's no actual iron, but it is working on the flying part of it. Now, the fact that it gets him off the ground, you see that when he did finally get it going with even just the boots, I don't know which he's going to find makes more sense. I think he's going to find he's going to have more control with the belt mounted with the arms. But who knows? I mean, this is literally fledgling technology that he's got going. I thought that was pretty cool. So yes, so that was Richard Browning. So if you want to look him up, I encourage you, if you want to follow the progress of him working on that. So, all right. So I mentioned earlier about Living Water Sound, and we survived our event. So we had, yesterday, we had an event that we were participating in, a benefit, a fundraiser for a couple of children who were dealing with life-threatening illnesses, and they needed help with being able to afford the expenses. And so they had a number of different people, groups helping participate, and so we got involved in this. So Rich, the leader of our band, was in contact with the organizer and was, I guess, trying to get it nailed down what they actually had for equipment, because we do in the band, we really have our own sound system, so we can show up with the trailer and we can set up and be self-contained, kind of like I have with the dive trailer. I've got everything I need for diving excursion and kind of a mini dive shop kind of thing. But when we show up, we normally bring only what we need. If they've already got their own sound system, which we were told they already had their sound system and microphones, and they even had a drum set. So we show up and bless their hearts. It's a mini powered mixer, 12 channel, I think, maybe 10 channel. And they had decent enough microphones. They were fine for what we needed. And the drum set was, we kind of jokingly called it Fisher Price, because it was not a very good drum set. The cymbal, I think our pots and pans have a better sound hitting them than the cymbal and hi-hat that they had on this thing. So it looked like a Walmart special or something like that, or Costco, and so it wasn't really a real drum set. But we made it work. We taped microphones to it to where you could hear it. Cascade of unintended consequences. I had all my stuff. We loaded everything up in Rich's Suburban, but we didn't bring the guitarists didn't bring their amplifiers, because we thought we were going to plug into their system. I had bring my rack because it's got everything in it, and it's either all or nothing for me. But what I didn't bring was I left my keyboard stand here. So thankfully they had a table that was just a good enough height that I could set the keyboard on there. And we had no way of hearing other than what was in the main speakers. So it was really a challenge to hear anything. But, God will make anything work if you're just diligent enough to step forward. And so it was successful, well received. Hopefully we reached people to help, and then we had a nice trip there, nice trip back. It's about a 2-hour drive from here. So we like having these kinds of opportunities to reach out. It's part of it. We like to reach out to minister, bring people to Christ, but sometimes it's just about helping people out. Now, thankfully, it was a lot of God-fearing people there, a lot of prayer and things like that, which is great. But these kinds of things, they're a lot of work to do. They're a lot of work for the people who organize them. But, there were a lot of people that came from a lot of different areas. There were a lot of people that traveled to little old Crystal City to do this. And so I was grateful to be a part of it, and grateful to see the participation that there was for this. So, I'm expecting some good fruits from that. So if you were there, we're glad you were there. If you were able to help, donate, etc., again, I'm sure that everybody appreciated it. Let's see. Last episode, I talked about that I was kind of wishful thinking about the opening of Spur 454 as the lake levels are continuing to drop. I was hoping for that maybe the Park Service was getting ready to open Spur 454 because it really is low enough, I think, for them to open it. And I said that I showed video of why I like diving in that place, but that's not my absolute favorite of all places in Lake Amistad to dive. My favorite place is, of course, Castle Canyon, which is the title of the episode today. So I wanted to show you video. It's a little bit older video. It's with my older camera, the Intova IC10. So it's not, I didn't have a strobe. So the lighting that you see literally is just our underwater flashlights. But at least you can get some idea why I like diving Castle Canyon. Now, I'll show you a picture of what it looked like before the lake filled up after the video. But let me get this going for you. Nope, that's not it. That's weird. Huh. Let me switch back. That's weird. I know I edited that video for some reason, didn't save it. Let me go in the preview editor here. See what's going on. Yeah, it didn't save it. What part of remove did you not get? Add. A little making of the chili here. That's weird. Alright, there we go. Drop that down. Oh, that may be a glitch in the latest update. I'm gonna have to check that out. And drop the audio down so it doesn't blast you out. See, let me save it. Yes. Alright, now let's try this and see if it's gonna work. There we go. Much better. So you can see visibility wasn't great, but it was definitely better than it is at the moment. We had a huge front come in. Didn't bring any precipitation at all, but the wind was insane. Oh, but the lake was nothing but white caps yesterday and all night. I mean, the wind was going all night. It was crazy. Start to go over the top of the canyon wall proper. See, it'll quickly get dark. just love views like that. This, you know, I love diving in tropical waters. Okay, there's just nothing compares to that as far as diving goes. But if you're gonna dive in a lake and you don't have other like man-made things like dropped in, this is the kind of thing I really enjoy. Is those really, really cool drop-offs. You know, it's not fun to just cruise along looking at moon surface on the bottom. But when you see this kind of stuff, and you're going to see there's some like little cavelets and things like that along the wall. You see it drop, it gets dark as you look down. So I'm at 78 feet right there. And there is some light, but we're losing it. And see, this is the thing. You know, that's why diving in a lake, typically, you do want to bring lights with you. At least a BC light if you're gonna go deep at all, because you're typically gonna lose visibility. There are enough particulates, etc., that are suspended in the water column that you're gonna lose the ability to see. So look how quickly I got to 92 feet. Some of the moon surface I was talking about. This is so breathtaking to me when I dive here. And I tell you, you might as well be doing a night dive if you're going this deep out at lakes, typically. So if you can do this, you can handle a night dive. You know, there's more preparation you have to go through. And that's something that we train in the advanced course, but it's not as difficult or daunting as you might think. I mean, you're still watching your gauges, and you've got light, because you're going to have 2 or 3 lights with you. but you really can't be, you've got to be comfortable in water. So here I'm checking out one of the small caves in here, trying to see how big it might be. Now, obviously, as I mentioned before, if you're introducing, man-made light into an area, it brings your colors back because you don't have it diffused by the amount of water, the depth of the water, killing off the light, killing your frequencies. Because you start to lose your reds as you go, and everything moves towards the ultraviolet end of the spectrum. So I was at 97 feet there. Okay, so we're starting to work our way kind of back up. Now, you might have heard a little bit earlier some beeping going on, and that was my dive computer, which is why I definitely like diving with a computer as opposed to just a depth gauge and pressure gauge and a watch, although I do carry all of that. The computer, you can configure to warn you when you're within a certain amount of time of your max saturation time at a particular depth. So the computer starts beeping at you to let you know, hey, guess what? You've been down here too long. You need to come up, or you're reaching your limit. You need to come up. So then I'll come up a little shallower. And then you get some of your time back because it senses that you're at a shallower depth, so you're actually off-gassing some of that pressure that you were building up. So this spot was really cool because it was a bigger cave, but it wasn't deep enough to really get into trouble. But it had like this center column that I swam around, and then I discovered that it actually had like a little window. It was like a Fred Flintstone cave or something. So now we're at 69 feet. So for those of you commenting out there, yeah, this is at Castle Canyon. So looking upward in the water column, you see all the fish that were hanging around there. A lot of bass. Pretty good size. So again, lots of bass hanging around there. So we're basically on the upper part of the of Castle Canyon. kind of cruising along the top because it was underwater. This part of it was underwater. I threw the camera back there because I felt something that kept bumping my fin, and I knew it wasn't the other divers because they were above and to my left. So I look back there and I see that bass hanging there. I was like, what are you doing bumping my fin? So as you get shallower, you see a lot more of the perch. But this is just such a fun, diving along a wall really gives you the clean aspect of the dive that you can't get if you're just shore diving in a gradual shoreline that has just basically silt, like at Scuba Cove, for instance. And it lets you get the depth that you might be looking for. And, Castle Canyon has these cool, rock spires and there's swim throughs and things like that. As a matter of fact, as you'll see in a second here, I found this spot. I found a spot that actually was a swim through from above to the side of the wall, which was cool. Totally unexpected. Again, one of the smallish caves close to the surface. You can see a little bit of light coming through. There was a small opening. If I remember correctly, that was maybe big enough for your arm to get through. It certainly you couldn't swim through that. And of course, I almost always have to get a selfie in the video, just to show it was me. So as you get shallower, and I'm at 15 feet here, kind of do your obligatory 3-minute safety stop for light decompression. Now, obviously, recreational diving, you don't actually do decompression stops like if you were doing a tech dive. But as a rule, you do a 3-minute safety stop at around 15 feet. The computers that we have will signal you, will flip to the 3-minute countdown actually once you cross above 20 feet. So here I'm cruising along and I see this big opening. I thought, well, this is kind of cool. I wonder what the deal is here. And so I always try to be careful not to kick silt up because you don't want to ruin visibility by kicking silt up. So I've got very good buoyancy control, very conscientious about what is going on, what my surroundings are. So I see that this looks like it drops down and might have an outlet somewhere in the castle wall, the canyon wall. So I'm trying to get the video, but I'm also trying to keep from kicking up silt. So I'm slowly adjusting my orientation to go feet first, but I'm trying to do it in such a way where my fins aren't going to be scraping the side of the wall. Because this was pretty big opening, but it wasn't that big. Because you realize you're there with these fins that stick out, and you're wearing a BC and a big tank on your back, so you got to be aware. And so I dropped down, and sure enough, there is an opening. I'm like, okay, cool. There is a swim through at Castle Canyon, and it was just wide enough for divers to get through. So I'm hoping the other guys are going to follow me in. Swam out. And so since I did sense that at least one of the guys was following me through, I kind of got clear of the opening quickly so I could make sure they could get out. And there he goes. Because obviously you don't want to create a claustrophobic situation for somebody who's brave enough to go through a swim through like that. And you see tons of this kind of thing out in the ocean when you're diving in a lot of the coral reefs. There are a lot of coral reefs that have tons of swim throughs, and some of them can be pretty tight. So you want to make sure you're not lingering when you go through a swim through. You want to make sure you clear the way so the people behind you can come through. And again, buoyancy control is very important. You want to make sure that you're not going to be banging the sides. You know, poor Tara, unfortunately, she seems to always find the fire coral and rubs up against it. Now, when we're diving in Caribbean areas, we're typically wearing a 3 mil shorty. The water's warm enough you don't really need to wear. You could just wear swimsuits and stuff like that. And you've seen videos that I've had in the past where you see the other divers are just wearing t-shirt and shorts or bikini or whatever. But we wear the 3 mil shorty partially because we get a little colder anyway, but also for protection in case we bump up against something. But of course it's a shorty, so a large part of your section of your legs is exposed, and of course your arms are exposed. So you want to make sure that you have got good control of your buoyancy and you're not bumping up against things. And poor Tara, she seems to always seem to bump up against fire coral. So she comes up and she's like, got these, well, it says there's nothing permanently damaging about them, but it's not comfortable to be stung by fire coral. But so you clear through those swim throughs so other people can come through them. Some of them are wide, really big openings, and it really is at the discretion of the dive leader, whatever organization you're diving with. It's really up to them whether they're going to take you through certain openings. They may even indicate, okay, if you're comfortable, they'll usually tell you in the dive briefing before, hey, there's some swim throughs here. There's some wide open ones that if those of you who don't have good buoyancy control or just are kind of skittish around tight places, you may not want to go through those. But for those of you who are comfortable, just get your buoyancy right and swim through them. They're pretty cool. And I've got some great videos of some of those. They're just awesome. But yes, we have those. Obviously, as you saw, we have swim throughs here at Castle Canyon there at Lake Amistad. So there are things to see if you're not hung up on always seeing just visibility for 100 feet and not hung up on seeing a bunch of brightly colored fish. I don't dive just to see that. I dive just for that weightlessness, that experience, and it's worth it every time. Even when it's cold. I mean, obviously we were all wearing our full wetsuits with hoods and stuff. So if you are determined to have a good time, you're going to have a good time on a dive. You just got to relax. It's recreational, so you just relax into it. That's the same kind of thing that I get into when I discuss with people, hey, why do you hate Del Rio? The people that I run into is like, oh, I'll be glad to leave here. Well, it's what you make of it. If you're bound and determined to be disappointed, then you're going to be bound and determined to be disappointed. I'm bound and determined to enjoy myself on a dive, whatever that situation is, even when it's bad, even when the visibility is horrible. I'm going to find something about it. I mean, think about it. If visibility is really bad, it's not that different from a night dive. Night dive, you don't see anything unless your light hits it. So you can find something to enjoy about just about any dive if you really, really like diving, which I do. I enjoy diving a lot. All right, so as we're winding down here, kiddos, let me jump into some administrivia. All right, next dive club meeting, 18 May at Rudy's, 7 o'clock. Be there or be somewhere else. Dive classes for this year. Coming up on the last minute, you can sign up for this next class, which is May 25th through the 28th. Then followed by that will be June 22nd through the 25th. then July 27th through the 30th, August 24th through the 27th, and then September 28th through October 1st. So we want you to sign up for the class no later than the first week of the month of the class. So this next week would be the last time you would be able to sign up for the May class. But you could sign up then for any of the later classes if you wish. So so that way we have enough time to get your student materials ordered and sent and get provided for you, so you can do your self-study portion and be ready for the actual class weekend. We always do a plug for A Pet's Wish. They desperately need donations as far as money, things like that, as well as time. Matter of fact, they had an opportunity to get a number of their rescued animals spayed or neutered for a relatively low price. I think like $17 per. So they're kind of looking for donations. If you'd like to check out their Facebook page, they have links to where you can donate and help pay for the cost of spaying or neutering these pets, these dogs and cats. That way, when they're adopted, we don't have a potential another stray out there adding more strays because they get pregnant. I see these all the time out around Del Rio. So this is your chance to make a difference. Volunteer your time, volunteer your money if you can. They could really use it. So check them out on Facebook, A Pet's Wish. And, of course, if you just want to see what's going on with diving in Del Rio, just visit our website, delriodiveclub.com. Or as you are watching this show on Facebook, you're probably already now familiar with our Facebook page, Del Rio Dive Club. If you want to send a message to just affecting the show, comments, suggestions, questions, just look us up on Skype, send it to TGWD. And, of course, if you'd like to send me an email, you can send it to robert.wade@cetifox.net, or you can follow me on the Twitter. Just look for Robert CFP, and I'll be happy to respond to you there as well. I don't have somebody who reads my email for me. I read it myself, and I respond personally. So that is all we have. I'd like to thank, I see Bobby and Troy are out there. Troy is a fellow diver. He's working on his degree, so he's been like swamped with schoolwork. So he's probably kind of catching a little bit of a break right now. So we're glad to have him out here. So I hope you enjoyed the show. And if everything goes well, we don't run into any other glitches, issues, things like that, we will see you next week on another exciting episode of This Guy Who Dives. See ya.